Hello, and welcome to another Rant Rave review. Today we'll be raving about two books. This one by Agatha Christie, and not this one by Dorothy Sayers, but yeah, we'll get to that. Okay, no, in a good way, for once. Okay, They Came to Baghdad is weirdly not a mystery. It's more of a thriller caper. Like, there's definitely twists and turns, but there's not really a, this is the dead body who killed him. No, this is set during the Cold War in Baghdad. Why did they come to Baghdad? Because there's going to be a peace conference between the US and the Soviets. And there's this, I think he works for an oil company, and his name is Dakin, and he pretends to be this, I'm sickly and I don't know anything. But actually, he's like a master spy, and he's trying to gather, well, he's not a spy, but he's like an intelligence officer, and he's trying to gather information to stop this nefarious group. And Agatha Christie is very careful not to make the communists the bad guys. She's like, oh, no, the U.S. and the communists are not part of this group. This group just wants violence and chaos and wants the U.S. and the communists to fight. It's kind of like Helter Skelter. Like, even though it's way earlier, than Helter Skelter, it's that idea of we just want a war, a riot, and then we'll rise to the top, apparently. This group of ne'er-do-wells. So Dakin is, and he knows about different people coming to Baghdad. Like, there's a character named Anna Shayla, and we, the audience, don't know exactly who she is. Is she good? Is she bad? She's clearly part of all this. Like, there's a part where she's being tailed, and she knows she's being tailed. There's another character named Carmichael, who I would say is almost like Lawrence of Arabia, where he is English, but he was born in the Middle East, and he knows a bunch of Middle Easterners and Easterners, and he knows his culture, and he can pass as an Arab, and he has vital information to bring to the peace conference. It's very important. Oh my goodness. That will expose the nefarious band of people who are, And all this is happening. And normally, none of that would be my cup of tea. I'm not into spies. I'm like, what? I like Spy X Family, but whatever. But, meanwhile, in England, there's a girl named Victoria, and she is our main character. He has nothing to do with any of this. Her name is Victoria Jones, and she is a typist, and she's Cockney, and she's terrible at her job, and she lies through her teeth nonstop. That is her main defining character trait, is she just BS's everything. And she basically gets fired, meets this cute guy in the park, and the cute guy, they both hit it off immediately. It's like insta love. And he's like, I would stay and talk to you, but I have to go to Baghdad. And so she's like, I have to get to Baghdad to be with him immediately. This is important. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I'll BS my way through it. So she does. She ends up, of course, going to Baghdad. Sidebar. This is the kind of thing where people who say that, like, Glass Onion is contrived and that's a bad thing, I'm like, contrived. Queen of mystery. Don't even talk to me about contrived. It's contrived and it's great, okay? And so she ends up in Baghdad, and she, of course, ends up embroiled in all of this spy stuff. Of course you gotta. And, also, because she lies through her teeth, she makes up, because she basically has to book passage to Baghdad with this lady, and in order to seem less like an awful typist who just got fired, she makes up an uncle who's an archbishop, and there is a real archaeologist named Pauncefort Jones, and she's like, oh yeah, he's my uncle. I'm Victoria Jones. He's my uncle. I'm going out on the dig with him later. Yeah, totally. And of course, she eventually ends up, accidentally going to the dig. It's like, oh no, she has to BS her way more. And it's just fun and interesting, and it's exciting enough, but it's not, like, scary. It's not too serious. It's got, cool things about Iran, I think. Iran? Where's Baghdad? Iraq? I'm a bad person. I don't know, man. Whatever. Anyway, the Middle East, the Orient. I don't know where anything is. Anyway. It has cool stuff about that, and it has adorable romance. To the point where I was like, I don't usually care. Well, I actually care about romance but I'm usually against it. I'm usually like, these characters should never get together. Boo. But when there's a well-written romance, I get deeply invested. And I was deeply invested in these two characters. Two characters who, yeah, let's just say I wanted them to get together. And I was like, they better get together. I'm reading this right? Right, Agatha? I see I'm picking up what you're putting down. And I was, and it's so good, and it's great. Yeah. And aside from whatever the heck that just was, it's shockingly poignant at one part, because the nefarious group of people who aren't communists and who just want to, like, burn the world down, basically, they're not nihilists, but they, like, don't care about human life. They just want violence. They want to ruin everything. There's even a part where they're talking about, like, certain figures, and like, oh, that guy doesn't matter. Like, that person's life doesn't matter. And then it's contrasted with the archaeological dig, and they're finding all these, like, old pots and old cooking utensils and things. And it talking about how, like, these are the things that matter. Like, real life, ordinary people, like, living their lives. Like, these people matter. And I was like, wow, Agatha Christie, that's, like, surprisingly tender and poignant, and it's really good. Yeah. The only flaw I would say in this book is the ending is a little too fast. But, like, YOLO, right? Yeah, no, everything else is great. I would say this is probably my favorite Agatha Christie book. It's so cute. Oh my gosh, this is a library book, but I'll probably buy it because it's adorable. It's adorable. They came to Baghdad. They came to Baghdad, you guys. Read it, enjoy it, love it. It's so cute. Okay. Next book is not this book, but it's in the same series. So, Lord Peter Wimsey is the detective that Dorothy Sayers created. I do not know why he's not famous like Sherlock Holmes or Poirot or Miss Marple, because he's adorable. He's adorable. Okay. He is a very super wealthy lord. His name is Lord Peter Wimsey, after all. And if you've ever read P.G. Wodehouse, Jeeves and Wooster, it's like that, but with mystery. Like, literally, just be like, Jeeves and Wooster plus mystery. Boom. It's great. Wordplay, turn of phrase, witty, snappy dialogue. Lord Peter Wimsey is basically this, super rich lord whose hobby is detecting. And he's like, oh, whatever. And he seems super silly, like, doesn't care about much. And his gentleman's gentleman is Bunter, who, of course, is more competent. A la Jeeves and Wooster, okay? It's basically the same thing. And you have similar things like Sherlock Holmes-esque things where there's some of the cops respect this guy and some of them think he's getting in the way. And it's fun. A lot of, like, legwork detecting. The premise, you might want to know what the premise is, aside from that, is that this is a book of short stories, but the book I read, I have not read this one yet, but the book I read is called Whose Body? And I'll give you the whole title. It is Whose Body? The Singular Adventure of the Man with the Golden Pince-Nez. Because Peter Wimsey's mother rings up and says, oh, like, this architect friend of ours discovered a random naked body in his bathtub, wearing only golden pince-nez. And Lord Peter goes to investigate this. And it's interesting because, in terms of the mystery, they don't know who this person is. Like, no one knows who this man is, except that the one cop is like, oh, clearly it's, like, such and such, the financier who disappeared last week. And Lord Peter Wimsey is like, but that guy was Jewish, and this naked guy isn't. You can clearly tell. So that mystery is like, what happened to the Jewish guy? Who is this guy in the bathtub? Like, it seems like, are they related? Like, they're similar build, but not quite. Or is it two different crimes? Are they connected? And it's fun because partway through, it's pretty obvious who done it. And why done it. But as to what the heck the body in the bathtub is, you're like, why? And then when it explains it, you're like, oh, clever. Yeah, it's a really well-constructed, fun mystery. And then, sudden pathos. Oh my gosh, it just hit me from out of nowhere. It's all goofy and fun and silly, and they're like, oh, by the way, like, Lord Peter Wimsey has a tragic backstory, and you're like, but, like, friendship and goodness, and it's all okay. It's like beautiful and tender, just like how this was tender. Like, what the heck, man? What the heck, Dorothy Sayers? What you doing to me? I can't. Good. Excellent. I want to read the whole rest of the series. Yeah. It was so good. I am shocked. Like, my friend told me about it, but other than her, like, no, I've never heard of this before. Nobody talks about this man. I don't know why. Yeah. I guess he's not in as many books as, like, Agatha Christie things, but I think he might be in more than Sherlock Holmes. I don't know. Anyway, it's adorable. You should read it. It's adorable. Also, weird side note, I listened to it, and the narrator of the audiobook is named Justin Longbourn. And I bring this up because he's American. And he didn't even try to do a British accent. And by not even try, I don't mean he did a bad British accent. I mean he didn't do a British accent. He just did an American accent. But he gave each character so much personality that it was, like, really easy to listen to. And I liked it a lot. So, like, good job, Justin Longbourn. I hope nobody gives him any nonsense about not bothering to do a British accent for the British detective book. It was great. It's delightful. Yeah. So yeah, both recommendations. Happy, wonderful, plus a little bit of poignance, pathos. Yay. All right. Bye. See you next time.